Tom Downey here again for the Cowboys Report, breaking down the latest on the coaching staff as that slowly begins to take some shape for the Dallas Cowboys. News and updates on various interviews, and I want to spend some time talking about some good and some bads. I have some concerns over and excitement over the Brian Schottenheimer-led offense. Now, the Brian Schottenheimer press conference is set for Monday. If you want us to be live and to keep the comments turned on for that stream, which I don't think the actual Cowboys YouTube channel will do, then show it by liking today's video for me right now. One defensive coordinator candidate is known, Andre Curtis, the soon-to-be former, only he's going to go back to the staff, Bears safeties coach, has interviewed for the open defensive coordinator job. He worked under Matt Eberflus in Chicago for several years as the safeties coach, was the Seahawks passing game coordinator when he overlapped with Brian Schottenheimer, by the way. Seahawks DBs coach, assistant secondary coach for Seattle as well. The Saints as well from 2012-2014. Rams DB coach for several years, 2009 to 2011. If you're going, wait a minute, I thought Eberflus had been hired. Yes, but no. The Cowboys have to follow the rules here because they don't do that, and they typically just hire the people that they know anyway. They do have to interview 2 outside minority candidates to fulfill the Rooney Rule. So what I'm saying is this. Still anticipate Matt Eberflus being this team's next defensive coordinator. But they have to go through the process here because somebody done messed up when they let the leak get out that they're going to hire Flus as the next DC. It's supposed to be supposed to be like the Bears did it. Bears leaked, it came out, hey, they're going to probably hire Dennis Allen as their DC. Kind of defeats the purpose of the rule, but the rule is also kind of not working the way that anyone wants it to, so it's all just kind of muddy and messy anyway. So expect Flus. I would also expect Andre Curtis on this coaching staff because you got to fulfill the Rooney Rule. Why not interview someone who you're going to interview and add to the staff anyway? Knock out 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. Get 2 birds stoned at once, if you will. He's got obvious ties to Schottenheimer and Eberflus. I think it makes him a pretty clear-cut candidate for this upcoming Dallas Cowboys coaching staff. Bears and Seahawks players are all pretty high on him. It's not me and Earl Thomas is going to come back. What is your confidence level? Got to throw that one in, right? Confidence level in the Cowboys building out their coaching staff. Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's get to the OC search. The Cowboys have submitted an interview request for Falcons tight ends coach Kevin Koger. Going, who the heck is this guy? That's okay. He has not been a full-time position coach for really all that long. He took over as the Falcons tight ends coach this year. Before that, he spent time with the LA Chargers, funnily enough, partially under Kellen Moore, for several years. He was the Packers offensive quality control coach and then spent time in college. Eastern Kentucky as both the receivers coach and special teams coach. Tennessee grad assistant, by the way, under I believe that was, I forget who it was. It doesn't matter. Michigan grad assistant as well, 2013 to 2014. I think it was under Butch Jones, I think about it, for Tennessee. Michigan grad assistant, he played at Michigan. I made a joke on Twitter about him being as old as Luke Schoonmaker. He's not. He's only 35, though. He's very young. There are no real ties outside of maybe they met at some coaching event or shrine game or combine or whatever to Schottenheimer or the Cowboys with this particular interview. He does fulfill one half of the Rooney Rule. The thing that I am most intrigued by, though, is he is currently under Zach Robinson, a Sean McVay guy in Atlanta. He spent time in Green Bay where you might be able to add some LaFleur concepts and ideas. I am slightly intrigued of this idea of potentially adding Shanahan-McVay tree ideas. Now, he hasn't been there very long, but that is something I think this offense needs more of. We'll talk about some other OC candidates here in a second. We'll talk about my one big concern with Schottenheimer, but he was the one that was allegedly so involved with the come to Mike meeting and adding more Shanahan-style offensive plays. Maybe this could be a hint of doing more of that in the future. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time's got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. Keep an eye out for the super deal. It is the best value for any event. You get on-time ticket delivery, the lowest price guarantee, which is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Probably not going to go to a Cowboys game this year. I get it, but you can go to stars, Mavs, concerts, comedy, theater, everything else in between. Download the Game Time app over at gametime.co. Create your account and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but the link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Now, I do expect Schottenheimer to call the plays for Dallas. The reporting had been that was something he wanted to do. Maybe that changes come Monday, which case we'll make some changes to the OC candidates list that we will do for you as part of our live show on Monday. I do have two other notable names to monitor, also mentioned by Jory Epstein when she mentioned them as head coach candidates, and then I'm like, this is going to be OC guys in the end. Anthony Lynn is first up. He knows the Cowboys very well. He was also on staff with Brian Schottenheimer as the Jets' assistant head coach / RB's coach. Well, I guess RB's coach in particular there. He is currently the run game coordinator / running backs coach for the Commanders. Obviously, this has to let the NFC game play out, which we are filming in the middle of at the moment. Lions OC briefly, Chargers head coach, longtime running backs coach, in theory, a run game coordinator role with the OC title so you can get him to come, because teams cannot block a coach from becoming an OC, even a non-play calling one. You can use that leverage point. Lynn stands out as a pretty notable potential target. Now, what does worry me here is the focus on the ground game and the emphasis on being more run-heavy, even more than I think you should try to run the ball a bit more than you have previously, but not to this level. Under Lynn, which the Lions offense was terrible, and then they gave way to Ben Johnson, 31st in what's called neutral pass frequency. So it's a not third downs, early down stuff, given you're down in distance, are you running the ball or are you passing the ball? How, what's your ratio there of airing it out on early downs? And then pass rate over expected, very similar. 31st out of 32 teams, negative 10% in that. I do fear a potential adoption of a Marty Ball approach. I am worried, looking at the Schottenheimer stuff in particular, I am worried that his philosophy is very, very run heavy, more than, even with the run game still being important, and even the cyclical nature of the NFL coming back into play, I think more than maybe it should be. Going back to the Pete Carroll stuff, I think that this widely accepted idea that Pete fired Schotty because Brian let Russ cook, that's actually not backed up by the stats. I don't think Schottenheimer's offensive game plans were quite right for Russ, but statistically speaking, it's also not true. The overall early years of Pete Carroll, he was 16th. His teams, under his guidance, even though he was a defensive mind, his overall teams, they were 16th. The 2 years before they brought in Brian Schottenheimer, they had jumped up to second in that 2-year time frame, 56.8%. The 3 years under Brian Schottenheimer, they were 23rd at almost a 50% clip. Balance for the sake of balance. After Schottenheimer left, they jumped back up to 7. So in the couple years surrounding the Schottenheimer regime as the OC, the Seahawks were more pass heavy without him. And again, the overall offensive pass rates, that neutral pass rate in Schottenheimer's tenure, he did air it out a lot in 2020. 62%, it was 5th. But before that, it was 21st. 32nd, it was dead last his first year in Seattle. 29th, 28th, 25th, 14th, it was the only other time he's been above average there. And 29th, because all of my data ends at 2020 on rbdsm.com, where I pulled it from. His 3 tenures, and the 20 up to 2010 sample size we have available. 23rd in neutral pass rates at Seattle, again, in the time frame he was there. 30th with the Rams, 24th with the Jets. The numbers do not say, or do not indicate anything other than the fact that this is a coach that wants to do Marty Ball stuff. Now, the Cowboys offense is very different than Schottenheimer's other offenses. And maybe he was trying to play to the right personnel, and he'll be more pass-heavy in Dallas. That is a very real possibility. But I do very much fear a return to the pejorative of Marty Ball, which was run, run, pass. You guys know how much I hate that. You need to have a ground game. It needs to be better, but asking the quarterbacks to go superhuman on third down isn't always the best idea either. So that's just my concern with Schottenheimer's history. Do you want him calling the plays? Not that we have any choice, it sounds like, no matter, we'll see. Y for yes, N for no. Go vote in the comments. I'd also keep an eye on Brian Johnson as a potential interview candidate for the Dallas Cowboys. He is the current passing game coordinator up in Washington. Spent 1 year as the Eagles' offensive coordinator, had been promoted from the quarterback's coach role with Jalen Hurts. The Eagles' offense had issues. I don't know how much of that was really Sirianni's fault as it was Johnson's fault, but he got fired. Now passing game coordinator for Washington. Spent a couple years at Florida under Dan Mullen. Was the Houston OC for a little bit. Also, by the way, was the Mississippi State quarterbacks coach for this guy you might have heard of, Dak Prescott. He's had plenty of coordinator interviews in the past. You can't get Lynn and Johnson. I think the Cowboys would prefer Lynn, but I would not rule out an interview of Brian Johnson at all. In fact, I would almost bet they get one. For more Cowboys news, rumors, updates, the live press conference, hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. And then special teams side of it here. The coordinator interviews for special teams coach have been completed, or at least are underway, which would also mean you can hire somebody at any point with the Rooney Rule now satisfied. Chris Banjo mentioned him earlier today, and now Carlos Polk. Now, Polk's got ties to a lot of this current regime. Chargers from 2001 to 2007, also played for Dallas in 2008, so maybe Jerry remembers him. Also of note, Brian Schottenheimer was on the staff when Polk was playing. He was the Chargers quarterbacks coach under his dad, Marty, for several years that overlap with Polk's playing career. His NFL jobs, he has been an assistant special teams coach in L.A., in Tampa, in Dallas in 2019, by the way. Then was an intern back in 2013 for the Cowboys. Jags assistant special teams coach. And then, Matt Eberflus, assistant special teams coordinator as well. So a lot of connections on that one. A good name to keep an eye out for. We also will mention this again. We mentioned it this morning. Mike Zimmer has told people, shout out Brian Browder for getting this one first. Ed Warner tweeted today, so I wanted to mention it, that he's not going to return to Dallas. Will probably retire as well. Maybe he takes like a executive advisor role where he just doesn't have to work nearly as much, but can be a sounding board for an organization. But it sounds like this is going to be the end of the line for Mike Zimmer. One hell of a coaching career.